यशोदनन्दन भज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरा वनचारि यमुनातीरा वनचारि जय राधा माधव जय Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we are chanting this mantra, let's forget about everything else. Forget about people moving around us. Forget about the noise around us. Forget about the noise within us. Let's just focus on this mantra completely and wholly. Let's live in this moment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Can I please request everyone to move a little bit closer? It's going to be a nice interactive session where you'll get to stand up, move around. So it's nice if we are close, nice and close. And we're expecting more people to come in. Shri Shri Radha Giri Govardhan Dhari ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So I'm not disclosing the topic of discussion as yet, but before we do that, I have a little exercise. It's a mental exercise more than physical. So let's start with that before we get on to the physical exercise. I'm going to be sharing a few statements with you guys, and all you have to do is take a mental note of what do you think about that statement. Do you agree with that statement? You disagree? What comes to your mind when I say that statement? Right? You have to be honest to yourself because you're not sharing what you're thinking with the group entirely. So this is just an exercise for yourself. So when I say those statements, you're going to think about the first thought that comes to you. Okay? So the first one is, and I'm going to pause for a couple of seconds after every statement, so it gives you a time to just quickly think. The first statement is, climate change is completely exaggerated. Right? Climate change is nonsense, it's completely exaggerated. Next statement is, spiritual people should not be rich. If you're really spiritual, there is no point of having money in your life. Just think about it. Third one is, internet has no place in the world, it has spoiled everything. So internet is completely useless, no place in the world, has spoiled life of everybody. Just the first thing that comes to your mind, take a mental note. And the last one, which is also my favorite one, men who cry are really weak. Right? Only weak men cry, strong men do not cry. So I'm sure there are some thoughts that have crossed each one of your minds today. Now you have to be honest when I'm asking you a few questions. How many of you felt a strong reaction when I made those comments? None of you. Probably we should have a class on honesty then. And did you feel the urge to agree or disagree immediately to those statements? Was there an urge to like, yes, I believe in it, or yeah, no, this is what she says doesn't make sense? Did you have that urge? Yes. Where do you think those reactions are coming from? Is it your values? Is it your experiences in life? Or is it your ego? Just don't have to respond to that one. Just think about it. Where are those reactions coming from? And last one, if someone challenged your view today, would you be open to accepting those changes? Right? If someone challenged your view, whatever you thought, would you feel open or would you be like defensive? I had run past these questions with my son earlier today. His instant reaction was, yes, I have the urge, I'm going to defend, and I disagree with all of them. That's what he told me, like straight, you know. So that brings me to the topic of our discussion for today. The topic of our discussion is ego, our constant companion. we'll be looking at, firstly, before we get into what ego does to us, I wanted to share with you the sitting place of ego. Where does ego actually sit within us? Right? Because once we understand the position of ego in our life, it'll be easier to understand how ego can really affect our life, right? In a positive way and a negative way. So there's this shloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kamamano buddhirevacha ahankarityam me bhinna prakritirashtara. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So we can see over here that our body is made up of 8 material elements. Right? I'm saying 8 material elements. And they are earth, water, fire, air, ether. So if you look at the screen there, so that's earth, water, fire, wind, ether. They constitute the gross physical body. Right? And then we see there is mind, intelligence, and ego. And then lastly, we have the soul. So these are the coverings of our soul. Okay? I'm going to today only speak about the subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, and ego. And we will quickly discuss the functions of each one of them. I won't go into a lot of detail, but just to understand what's the difference between mind, intelligence, and ego, what are their functions, and what is their role in our life. So mind, as you can see, that is the closest to the gross physical body. And the most important function of the mind is creating desires. So whatever desires we have in our life is coming from the mind. Right? The functions of the mind are thinking, feeling, and willing. And we've heard that a lot of times. But primarily, it creates a lot of desires. Okay? So think of mind as a software for your computer. It's almost like that. Next is the intelligence. Now, intelligence is a little bit more refined. Intelligence, as you can say from the word, is the point where we discriminate, where we understand, which helps us with the decision-making process, whether it's right or wrong. So intelligence helps us understand with that. So think of it as, in a computer language, in an IT lingo, think of it as the pre-installed apps that we have that helps us to navigate the system. So they're the pre-installed apps. Right? And the last one, the false ego, which is the covering that is closest to the soul. Now that is where that is a sense of individual identity. I, ahankara, that it's about me. Right? So consider ego as the user of that computer, who recognizes, who identifies with the software, who identifies with the computer, who identifies with the hardware, who identifies with all the functions the computer produces. So think of it like that. Right? And then finally we have the soul. Soul, as we all know, is eternal, it is spiritual, and is the source of our consciousness. Right? That is where, that is not a part of your material body. That is spiritual. Soul is entirely spiritual. So whatever gross and the subtle body that we are discussing, they are the covering of the soul. Right? Just to make it even more simple, if you look on the screen, what do you see? Gulab jamuns, right? Even when we've had a complete meal that was so tasty to the brim, we always get tempted by gulab jamuns. At least I do. Right? And I'm going to use gulab jamun as an example to explain mind, intelligence, and ego. So mind, what did I say was the function of the mind? The primary function was to create desires. So the mind says, I want those gulab jamuns. Okay? The intelligence, what does it do? It discerns or it evaluates. The intelligence says, are these gulab jamuns really good for me? I just had a heavy meal outside. Should I really be eating these gulab jamuns? Probably not. And then there is ego, who identifies with the self, who says, you know what, I deserve those gulab jamuns. Or maybe, I'm a senior devotee. They should actually offer those gulab jamuns to me. Right? Or it might be a place where they might be like, you know what, I've been cleaning in the kitchen all evening. I completely deserve it, and someone should actually, a senior should come to me and tell me, come please have this gulab jamun. That's ego. So in a sense, mind, intelligence, and ego are all a part of the material covering of the soul. The mind is the first element of the subtle body. The gross body is actually controlled by the mind. Then the mind is controlled by the intelligence. Intelligence is controlled by the ego. Right? So what happens is if the ego is false, everything else becomes false, because that's the first layer around the soul. Is everyone with me on that? So that's the first layer, and if the ego is false, everything else becomes false. Right? So what we are going to do is we are going to understand how the false ego operates now. Right? So false ego, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanani Gune karmani sarvasa Ahankara vimuratma Kartahamiti manyate. So it says, the spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So we are going to understand the types of egos, right? One of the types is false ego, but within false ego as well, false ego can be in the mode of goodness, false ego can be in the mode of passion, and the false ego can be in the mode of ignorance. And think of it as, we have three primary colors, but from those three primary colors, how many more colors are created? Right? Infinite. Similarly, the false ego in these three modes can actually create many forms of false ego. Some are very strong, some are subtle, but there are many different variations of false ego which cannot be counted. I'm going to simply explain that in the language that we all understand. Ego is the original artificial intelligence, the original AI. We are living in a world where we marvel at the power of AI, right? How many of you have used ChatGPT? I'm sure most of us have used some sort of AI. So while we are actually completely marveled at how in relatively milliseconds it is able to give us all the information that we need. It gives us everything. However, we have to understand, is it right to say that AI is the source of truth? Can I say that? Is AI the source of truth? No, it is not the source of truth. Similarly, we have to understand that the ego is not the source of truth. AI is not the source of truth because AI operates from the basic understanding, from the basic prompt that a user gives. Right? Similarly, ego operates from the point of every individual, because every person is unique. They have their own unique thoughts, own unique experiences, and that's why every person has a unique ego. Ego does not mean the truth. Just like ChatGPT does not mean the truth, the information on there does not mean the truth. Similarly, whatever things that come out from a false ego does not mean it's the reality, does not mean it's the truth. Right? Our ego cannot create illusions or deceptions without first using our thoughts and experiences. It completely uses that. Our ego has to completely, maybe there are thoughts and experiences from this life or previous life. You will see that ego is most dominant in young kids. Right? Because they don't have as many experiences, they don't remember as many experiences from their previous life, and they're very new to the world. But as we grow older, we can realize, we understand that ego becomes more apparent because we have more experiences, and then we have more thoughts. That more we read a lot more. We have more thoughts that are going on. That's why the ego becomes more prominent. So just like a ChatGPT gives a different response to each person based on what their input is to the same question. Similarly, our ego, each one of us have a very unique ego, and that ego gives a very unique, independent perception of the world. Right? Now we have to understand, the good news is, if it's all about ego and ego cannot be eliminated from our material, covering, the good news is there is something known as true ego. So we've so far spoken about false ego, and false ego has so many parts, so many types, but then there is something known as true ego. Right? What is this true ego? True ego is Jivera Swarupa Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. What does that mean? I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Right? So ego is our constant companion. We cannot get rid of ego. But the good news is we can get rid of false ego if we stick to our true ego, or the real ego, or the purified ego. And that ego is that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada would say real ego means identifying oneself as the eternal servant of Krishna. And when one forgets this identity, then he is under the influence of false ego. So either you are under the influence of false ego, or you are sitting with the real ego. The ego is always there. That's why it is our constant companion. Right? I'm going to skip that one. It is said that ego, no one can be saved from this ego, right? One might think, but I don't have any ego. I've heard so many people saying, you know what, I don't operate from the level of my ego. I just don't like to do that. I've heard so many times, it is used very commonly in our conversation. I don't like to bring my ego in between in relationships. Have you heard that? Yes? Don't bring your ego in between. Have you heard that? Yes. But guess what? Ego has been so prominent a lot of times. Like, for example, if we take the example of Mahabharata, Duryodhana. We all know Duryodhana, right? So I'm going to address the modern war, but before I thought addressing the modern war, I should address Kurukshetra war, right? Based on which Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Now, Duryodhana, we all know, was filled to the brim with that false ego, right? So many times, he could not tolerate the prosperity of Pandavas. He was so jealous of them, to an extent that when Krishna went to Duryodhana and offered him, let's not have the war, let's have a peace, peace agreement. You give us 5 villages to the Pandavas and it's done. No need for war. Right? What did Duryodhana say? Duryodhana said, I won't give the Pandavas enough land to even put the tip of a needle through. I won't give the Pandavas enough land to even put the tip of a needle through. What was 5 villages for Duryodhana? Really nothing. He was getting the entire kingdom. But he was not ready to give land even that much. And it was all because of his pride, arrogance, jealousy. That was very prominent since childhood. Right? So the ego was so inflated that he was blinded by it. Right? Another example is World War I. Right? World War I, yes, we've heard about World War I, which was, it is said that the World War I happened because of the ego clashes of the world leaders. And that's why World War I happened. Their view of the world, the superpowers during those times, the view of the world was that if I want to prove that I'm a strong country, I need to fight and I need to win. And I want to show my manhood by fighting. That was their view of the world. The leaders feared that appearing weak or backing down would actually damage their prestige. So no one wanted to back down. Everyone wanted to fight. You know why? Because I'm something. We see such situations very prevalent even now. It's happening in the current world, right? And what were the egos were acting from? They were acting from the point that I must win, I cannot be dishonored. Those were the 2 main thoughts that were going behind the leaders at that point in time. Guess what? In all of this, we lost about 15 to 20 million people. 15 to 20 million people were, died in that battle. Forget about Kurukshetra war. Forget about World War I. Let's look into our own families and extended families, or into ourselves as well. How many times have families fallen apart because someone refused to say sorry? How many times have friendships broken over petty issues? It has happened to me where I have lost friends because of petty issues. And 20 years down the line, I fast forward my 20 years and I think about it and I feel that was not worth it at all. I've actually written down sorries to some of my friends from, 10 years back, saying sorry. It was not worth it at all. Right? But in those moments, we don't realize when the ego is acting out. So how many times we can see that the false ego is there, and when the false ego is there, it just ruins everything. Just ruins practically everything. So whether it is a war between nations, whether it is a feud between brothers, or whether it is a conflict within the community, false ego says, I must win, because it is about I. But really, that is false ego. We are talking about, we want to get into the position of a true ego, not the false ego. Right? I heard so many times people say, people work for people. I've heard that so many times. People work for people. My thoughts and my personal realization on that is, why do people have to work for people? People need to work for Srila Prabhupada. People need to work for Lord Sri Krishna. People need to work for the mission of Srila Prabhupada. People need to work for something higher. Why do people need to work for people? Because when someone says that to me, I feel like it is talking about people really work for their egos and for the egos of others. If we really want to advance in life, people do not work for people, people work for a higher cause. So even if you don't like someone and a service has been offered to you, and if you know that service is for a higher cause, then we should, and if we are in the capacity to take that service, we must take it. You know why? Because people don't work for people. People must actually work for a higher cause. That's when we are giving up false ego. Otherwise, we are completely blinded by false ego. Right? Someone might still think, but you know what? After hearing all of this, I still feel I don't have ego. Right? And now we are going to play a little game, which won't help you understand that you have ego, but it will help you understand something else. So I'm going to tell you the rules of the game, and then we'll start playing it, but you have to follow the instructions very carefully. Each person will be asked to choose a partner. They're going to stand up facing each other. So for example, Aditi, can you come? I'll show them how it's done. Preferably a girl with a girl and a boy with a boy. We stand facing each other. So we stand like that. We completely check out each other. She looks at me. She looks at what I'm wearing, the way I'm dressed up. I look at her the way she's dressed up. Then we turn around, facing back to back. And we change one thing about us. Right? It can be anything. Maybe. And then we turn around again. And then I'm going to ask, and we'll notice each other, and they're going to tell me, what change do you see in me? And then she's going to respond to me. What change does she see in me? And I'm going to respond to her. What change do I see in her? Do you guys understand how it's done? We're going to do 3 rounds. By the way, I removed my bangles. Thank you so much. So, it's going to be 3 rounds, and after the 3 rounds, I'm going to tell you how this is connected to our egos. Okay? So can I request everyone to stand up, please, and find a partner? Okay, I'm going to do a countdown, and by then you should have a partner. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now you're going to check out the other person. Let's do that. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Okay, now is the time to turn around, backs to each other. Make one change in yourself. Oh, people are being clever there. Like it. Make one change. Don't just change your expression, right? Change something more. Okay, now turn around and tell each other, what do you notice? Okay, time's up. We turn around again. Backs to each other. Backs to each other. We are back. And make another change now. Make another change. He's really smart. Okay, have you guys ready? Okay, facing each other, notice the change. Let's go. other. Let's go. This time it's going to be quicker. Make that one change. Making the change. People are ready and so excited. Okay. Facing each other now, telling the... Let's see if we can figure this one out. Prabhu, that was obvious, Prabhu. Okay, can I request everybody to sit down, please? Okay. You know why did we play that game? Because we had eaten too much and I thought it would be a good exercise. No, but on a serious note, we played that game, right? There might be times when you haven't been able to notice the change. And there might be times where you were able to notice the change, right? But mostly it was hard. It was not that easy. Now, ego often hides under the small details on how we present ourselves. We don't realize it. Ego is that subtle. We could not even figure out the changes that was made around us. Ego is that subtle, ego changed so subtly that others may or may not even notice. We may or may not even realize, but we are acting from the position of our ego. And then we say, but you know what, I don't have ego. But it's very important to understand that each and every one of us seated here are a lot of times, in my case, most of the times, operating from the position of false ego. But when we introspect and reflect, that's when we realize what I'm saying is coming from the position of false ego. It is that subtle. And the whole point of this exercise was that, to understand that people may notice it, people may not notice. And we might be so good at hiding our ego when we say certain things, like we are so genuine, but sometimes, you know who knows? Your super soul knows. Because there we have seated, he is observing everything. Krishna observes. And he knows what we are saying and what we are doing. We can fake it to the world. Can we really fake it to Krishna? He knows. Where are we operating from? He's something no. For example, I'll illustrate this point by another little story. Once there was a sculptor who lived in a village, and this sculptor made a very beautiful idol of goddess, like you can see on the screen there. And he thought, okay, I've made a beautiful idol of goddess, and now I should go and sell it in the city. Now, so he loaded the idol on the donkey. He had a donkey, he loaded the idol on there, and he started walking. He lived in a far-off village, so he had to cross many villages before he actually reached the city. So he started walking through the city, through the villages. Now, as he was walking through the villages, everybody in the village started bowing down, paying obeisance to the goddess, because she was so beautiful. And people knew that goddess is the deity is for worship. We need to pay obeisances. So everyone started paying obeisances to the goddess. But a strange thing happened. The donkey, which was carrying the idol, thought that he was special, and that the reason why people are actually bowing down or paying obeisances are they are actually doing it to him. That's what the donkey started thinking. Right? Now, soon the sculptor returned from, after selling the goddess, after selling the idol, he starts returning. Now, while he was crossing the village, the donkey stopped in the middle, right, of a village. And he was expecting a very warm welcome. He was expecting a few obeisances, people, putting their hands together, folded hands. But nobody paid attention to this donkey. Right? The donkey felt insulted. And what did he do? He started braying. Right? But nobody cared. Nobody paid attention to that donkey. So now the donkey started braying even harder, louder. Now when he started doing that, what happened? People started hating him. Because he's unnecessarily creating the noise and, not moving for nothing. Now we are laughing over this story, but really speaking, it is we who are that donkey who are constantly braying, sometimes softly, sometimes loudly, because we want attention, we have that pride, and we want people to really appreciate us for so many little things that we do. But really speaking, whether we are progressing in our careers or whether we are progressing in our education, whether we are achieving other milestones in our lives, right? We have to understand they are not really our milestones. We should stop expecting. We should stop expecting appreciation all the time. If it comes our way, it's great. We say thank you and we pass it on. We don't keep it. Because we really don't want to inflate our false ego. We keep passing on all these things. Right? People respect us, or, we have to realize that people are actually not bound down to us. When we do Vancha Kalpa, or when the Pujari is, offering, or when the Pujari is cleaning, we see these are different acts of staying humble. We have to understand that. We are not paying obeisances to the body or the person we are paying obeisances, people are paying obeisances to us, or we are paying those obeisances to the Krishna within you. So really speaking, nothing belongs to us. It is Krishna. We are part and parcels of Krishna. We are an eternal servant of Krishna. And that is one thing we have to understand. So we have to look out beyond our egos, out beyond the need to be always right, or out beyond the need to have to take credit for everything that we are doing. There is a field of pure consciousness, and we want to get to that field. We need to cross all these things, and we need to get to that field, which is a field of pure consciousness. Because there where we can see the beautiful Krishna. It is there where we will notice something magical happening. But what happens is when a person is in his material consciousness, he's convinced that false ego, that because of his false ego, that he is the doer of everything. I am doing everything. Really speaking, what is in our control? Last Saturday we organized yoga festival here at the center. We did everything that we could have done, but could we control the rain? That was not in our control. We could do everything right from our side. But was rain in our control? No. So we have to understand that someone beyond us, right? We are not really in our control. There's something beyond that is in our control. I was speaking to a friend about that festival, and I was telling her, you know how everyone who left the place after the yoga festival, no one complained about the rain. And she said something really beautiful, and that really goes well with what we are discussing right now. She said, no one spoke about the rain because something really higher was taking them over. Rain didn't matter. Something higher was taking over. And that statement actually gave me goosebumps because it is true. We offered what we could have offered, but there was something beyond the offering that we made. And that was taking over everybody. And that's why no one cared about the rain. No one cared about the little chaos that was happening around. Right? No one cared if the food was cold or hot. No one cared about one instructor who did not turn up or was stuck in traffic, because there was something really bigger going on in the place. And that was not my doing or your doing. That was coming from something higher. And that is something we have to understand. Right? Our false ego actually acts as like a trident, and that pierces us. A trident has 3 prongs, right? And that false ego pierces us with 3 prongs. The first one is grandiosity. So this is from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. What does grandiosity mean? It means that when we achieve something, our false ego makes us believe that it is I who have done something extraordinary. It helps us. It is because of me that we have been able to achieve that success. For example, I'm a teacher, so when I was at the school recently, we do the circle time, and one of the students said, you know what, I'm so good that I got selected for the basketball A team. So A team is like the elite team, but I'm so good. And I had to ask her, can you rephrase that sentence in a way that it is not just about you? Do you think you can rephrase it? And some of the friends helped her. That we played basketball, it was a team effort. Everyone worked well together, and that's how I was able to succeed. It was never you who were able to do anything. The next one is blame. When we don't succeed, what do? We blame others. Right? We find different people. Or we sometimes blame situations. We start blaming. I could not do this because of this. This did not happen because that person did not turn up. Or sometimes we even start blaming God. Right? All these things happen because it was God's will. Well, we have to understand, yes, God is in control, but we have to understand not everything that is happening in the world is Krishna's desire. Yes, Krishna sanctions it. It's like a wind that is, flowing. The wind can flow in any direction it wants, but it still is flowing in a particular area, right? That area is not in wind's control. So that is what Krishna is, exactly like it provides the field. Krishna sanctions it, but Krishna does not desire it. So when someone says, it's because of Krishna's desire, the wars are happening, or the bomb blast is taking place, or something else, no, it is not Krishna's desire. Yes, Krishna sanctions it, but there's a clear difference. And that's where the minute independence comes into play. That's the independence we have. For example, we know that when Draupadi was disrobed, that wasn't Krishna's desire. Right? But Krishna sanctioned it, and in the end what happened? Draupadi showed by her exemplary example, how do we completely surrender. So Krishna used her as an instrument to show complete surrender. And that's what we understand. No one remembers the disrobing story just like that. Everyone talks about Draupadi's complete surrender. How Krishna protected her. That is the moral of the story. Right? So, Krishna will govern the scope of our actions, but not all our specific actions. And that is something we must all remember. And the last one on the slide is shame. When we can't blame others, what do? We blame ourselves. You know what? We try to beat ourselves down. You know what? I am so hopeless. I can't do this. Again, that is coming from a point of false ego. And we have to understand that sometimes when we just start blaming ourselves, we don't really mean it. We're just blaming ourselves because we want to get away from the situation. I might be doing something wrong. I am this, I am that. People go on to these things of low self-esteem. But again, we have to understand by pitting ourselves, again, that is coming from the point of false ego. Right? So those are the three. So for example, even in the shame bit, we have to be very mindful. Sometimes our weaknesses become strengths and sometimes our strengths become weaknesses. Like in the case of Ravan. He was such a strong person. What did he do? Right? Or Vibhishan. Weakness became strength. So we have to understand all those things. And yes, I've been talking about false ego for such a long time. But now I'm going to get to the part where we'll see how to deal with this notorious false ego. Right? And dealing is very simple. It's just one slide. I've got it all up on there, one slide, because we know these things, but all we need is a constant reminder. The first one there is, actually, to deal with the notorious self-ego, false ego, you can actually buy a sociology book, and that's only going to help you to an extent. Right? Beyond that, there are measures that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. As I was looking at false ego, I got reminded of a theory that we were studying when I was doing my marketing degree. It was about Sigmund Freud. Have you heard him? The false id, superego, and ego. If you really study that ego, I'm surprised. Id really correlates to the mind. Your superego correlates to the intelligence, and your ego is ego. And Sigmund Freud, invented this theory only in the 1900s. And Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is giving us theory from 5,000 years ago or even more. So that made my faith increase in the scriptures even a lot more, because we have the treasure house of every problem, treasure house of everything that we are dealing with right now. If you don't have a Bhagavad Gita, you must get one. It's a treasure house. Yes, we can read all these books, the words might all be this fancy, but even Sigmund Freud could only deal to an extent. He solves the problem of false ego by not giving you something higher. He says just materially you can solve them using your own intelligence, by using your superego. But that's really hard. It's not possible. Right? So we need to learn to operate from the point of true ego. The first one is we need to, when we are going through these emotions, these thoughts of false ego, going through this situation, we need to recognize its voice. We need to catch ourselves when we are going through those situations. Right? And when we catch these thoughts, that is the first step. We are becoming more and more aware of ourselves. And when we are aware of ourselves, that's when we can take the next step, right? If you don't know I'm operating from the mode of false ego, it's not going to work. When we know we are operating from the point of false ego, that's when it starts working. Next is when we are going through those situations, we shift to the true identity. And what is the true identity? I am the eternal servant of. So we shift ourselves, right? Remember, I am Das, Anu Das. So what will happen is that will just kill our false ego. So shift to the true identity. Srila Prabhupada, this is another one, is serve silently. Srila Prabhupada used to say, a lot of times when the ego is going on an all-time high, and when you recognize, okay, it's too much happened, and ego is an all-time high, you crush your false ego by doing some menial services. This is just one of the options. Cleaning the temple floors, keeping the chairs properly after the program, doing something quietly. Right? That can help you to cleanse your false ego as well. The next one is regularly hearing philosophy, and this is one of the most important ones. False ego thrives on a ground that is disconnected from tattva. We need to connect ourselves back to the scriptures. That's when false ego cannot thrive. Because that's when we are giving a lot of input to our mind and intelligence, which are spiritual. And that's when the false ego has to go down. It doesn't inflict, it starts to deflate. So we have Bhagavad Gita, we have Srimad Bhagavatam classes every day, where Srila Prabhupada's purports are so power-packed that it actually creates such a lasting impact. Right? So if you're not on the Srimad Bhagavatam group, join that. It will really help. It's only half an hour in the morning from 6:30 to 7. It's 30 or 40 of us at the moment, but we are over here seated with a congregation of 200, 300 people. Let's join that. Let's see what happens. It's always easy to exit the group. Right? It's always easy to exit the group. You can even mute the group if it doesn't help you. If you don't want to show the world that you've exited Srimad Bhagavatam group. Mute it, but at least try to hear it for a couple of weeks and see what happens. The next one is keep humble association. Stay close to devotees who doesn't have that much of false ego. And we have the intelligence to actually recognize those people around us. Stay in close connection with them. After the beautiful festival of yoga festival, His Grace Sakirai Prabhu, the first thing he said, good, you guys did a great job of the festival, but he said, make sure the pride does not come in. That's what a well-wisher does. Right? It is so easy to get the pride in, the ego, the false ego in, but if we have people around us to remind us, make sure this doesn't happen to you. Or if someone does that, the next one is laugh at it. If someone reminds you, you're acting up from the place of your false ego, laugh at it and says, Srila Prabhupada has said this, here he goes again. And then just laugh over it. Right? Just a practical laugh. In one of the room conversation, when a devotee was defending his position, what did Srila Prabhupada say? Srila Prabhupada said, this is your Maya speaking. You are not so important, sir. Right? Do you think the devotee had anything to say after that? Completely crushed, smashed the ego. And Srila Prabhupada would do that to us as well. He will do that to us. There are times when we are doing some service, we want people to notice it, but it goes completely unnoticed. Right? That's because there's some lesson in that. There's the reason why it's going unnoticed. And last one of the most important ones is chant, and more chanting. Just keep on chanting the Maha Mantra, and you will see we are preparing a ground that is becoming favorable for our consciousness, for our pure consciousness, for our true identity. And last one is pray from your heart. Prayers are the answers to all the problems that we have. And today I'm going to end this class with 3 beautiful prayers. They're short, sweet, beautiful prayers, but I would really request you to pray like you are genuinely mean it. Right? The first prayer that I'm going to share with you today is about saying farewell to your false ego. It's by His Grace Vaishashika Prabhu. And when I'm saying these words, if you want to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart and say it like you mean it, because this prayer is a very important prayer. It says, my dear false ego. Don't have to repeat it, just hear, peacefully just hear it. My dear false ego, it has taken me quite some time to find the courage to write you this letter. And I realize that it may come to you as a surprise, since we have been together for so long and we have been through so much. I know also that I am the one who started this relationship in the first place. But I have changed. I now know that what we had was very unhealthy, especially my depending on you to watch and appreciate every move that I made. And you're telling me that I was great, wise, clever, and so on, even when I wasn't. The fact is, I have met someone who has changed my life by showing me how to serve Krishna, who resides in my heart, and who grants contentment in exchange for even a shadow of devotion, who oversees the principles of righteousness, and who delivers the universe with His names. By being true to Krishna, I'll be fully happy and satisfied, and will have no reason to embellish who I am or what I have done. I'm not only very confident about my new life and relationship, but I'm also very excited about it. So now that we are giving up our false ego, we need to be excited. I'm pretty sure that you know who it is I have met, because you remarked about how much time I was spending reading his books. So whom have we met? Srila Prabhupada. Please know that my decision is firm, and therefore I request you to make things easy on both of us by not contacting me anymore. I've taken the liberty to clear out your things, and I put them neatly in boxes in the detached garage. Please come get them when I'm not home, and kindly leave your key along with any copies of keys that you have made. Please don't contact me or write back to me. It will only make it worse. I suggest that we both make a clean break. I'm sure that you will find someone else. Good luck and goodbye forever, Vaishashika Das. Such a beautiful letter. Right? Now we have said goodbye to false ego. Now we need to embrace the true ego. And I'm going to read a couple of sentences from Srila Prabhupada's Jaladuta diary book. Right? He says, I have no devotion. So again, when we are saying this, think like you are saying this. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purpose of Bhakti Vedanta. I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them as in convince us. For I am powerless to do anything on my own. So this is Srila Prabhupada actually embracing his true ego. Right? And the last one, it's just a simple little shloka, which is one of my favorite as well. And you can repeat this after me. Roy kahe aminata tumi sutradhara. Yai mata nacha utai che chahi nachi bara. So it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, where Sri Ramananda Roy said, I am just like a dancing puppet, and you pull the strings. Whichever way you make me dance, I will dance. So that's my humble request to everybody and to myself as well. Let's dance to his tunes. Let's not try to pick our own things. Let's crush the false ego. Let's embrace the true identity. With that, I would like to conclude, but if you have any questions or comments or any realizations that you have had, please feel free to share them. Is it okay if we go on for a few minutes? Yeah. Would anybody like to share anything? Okay. Yes.
I just had a question. When you said before that Krishna sanctions everything that like we have a desire to do, why is it that sometimes like some people have a desire to do something but like they don't have enough resources to do it, or like then like Krishna doesn't sanction that? So.
Great question, Raghav. Thank you. Lot of times it is about preparation time also. So we may not get if you're talking about spiritual desires, things may not happen immediately because that is about planning and preparation time. Krishna is making us stronger to do something bigger and better. So whilst you may not have the resources then, but if you have those desires, it will be fulfilled if they are your spiritual desires. Right? Does that answer your question? Cool. Thank you. Yes.
I would like to thank you to make me separate from my ego.
Yes. Thank you, Mother. Thank you. Not me, Srila Prabhupada. Everything I said was from his books. Anybody else? Any questions? No comments? Yes.
When you said about Mahabharata,
Yeah.
Dhritarashtra, he says very, very beautifully, he says, Krishna, when I hear your words, the words are like lightning. When you're speaking, everything is illuminated. But immediately after that, everything becomes dark.
Mm.
Even though you're telling me the truth, the next moment, I just forget everything. Our situation is like Dhritarashtra. We hear this wonderful class here. When we go out from here, we'll be talking about different things.
Yes.
So we should leave that Dhritarashtra mentality and have this mentality of Vidur, who is always dedicated to Krishna.
Thank you. That's such a good point, such a strong point. Thank you so much.
So Jamada can make announcements now.
Okay. Cool. Time for announcements.
Hare Krishna. Thank you to Sneha, Bhakti Mataji for such an enlightening class. Say Hari Bol. Welcome everyone to Hare Krishna Temple, to the Saturday Feast. Who's coming here for the first time? Well, so many people. Just say 3 rounds of Hari Bol to welcome them. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So I'm going to start first by asking a question. How was the feast today? Delicious, isn't it? It was wonderful. So, once we're going to thank all the cooks, all the wonderful cooks who made this feast happen. So, today's cooks are Giriraj Shyam Prabhu, Garima Mataji, Abhishek Prabhu, Adya, Madhvi Mataji, and Sundari Sita Mataji. Please say Hari Bol! And today's cleaning team was Shyam Sundar Prabhu and the Hare Krishna services team. Just say Hari Bol to the cleaners as well. Hari Bol! And this feast was very kindly sponsored by Rajat Sethia Prabhu. Let's say Hari Bol for him as well. Hari Bol! So, yes, it's a wonderful opportunity to sponsor feast, to feed so many devotees. The first is get the bhoga gets offered to the Lord, it becomes prasadam and we all can have it and get purified. So if all of you are interested in sponsoring feast, you can for Saturday, and there is also a program that happens tomorrow, a Sunday night program. Please reach out to either Gaura Prem Prabhu, Sakira Prabhu or Viraj Krishna Prabhu.
And we were short on one thing, and they just rushed in and they got the stuff as well. We are very thankful.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nanda Sethia Prabhu and Mataji, for helping so much. Hare Krishna. We should all learn from them. Next announcement is about the year-end yatra. So the Burbank Temple is for the first time is taking devotees for a trip to Vrindavan. And where are we going? Yes, so I'm going to sing a bhajan that will tell you where are we going. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Sri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohana. So we'll start on 20th of December in Vrindavan. We'll visit all the local Goswami's temple. we'll visit Barsana, we'll visit Ter Kadamba and so many other holy places, so places of Srimati Radharani as well. So we'll first start with Vrindavan, and then on 25th of December we'll move to Jaipur via Karoli, visiting the Radha Madan Mohan temple first, and then we're going to visit Radha Gopinath temple, and then we're going to visit Radha Govind temple. So we're going to visit all the main deities of our Sampradaya, and it's a wonderful opportunity to join this yatra. So if you are interested to join, please contact myself or Rasamandu Prabhu here. So there is a very small form that you have to fill in to register, and if you want more information, please come see one of us. Hare Krishna.
One question. Are we going to visit all these three thoroughly
Monday.
Monday?
That's the intention, Prabhu. Yes, that's what we are aiming for. Hare Krishna.
Very blissful. I think people who can go should go.
Yes, absolutely. The next announcement is for the biggest festival of the year is Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Shri Krishna Janmashtami K. So this year the festival very fortunately falls on a Saturday. So we don't even have to take a leave on that day. So wonderful. But you can take a leave before for helping us to organize if you want to. But that's fine. So Saturday is a festival. Saturday, 16th August. There's going to be a lot of activities. There's going to be a nice pandal there. The deities will be outside. There's going to be a lot of kirtan, stage performances. There'll be dramas. There'll be musical performances. There's going to be lots of nice cuisines of prasadam available. There will be 108 steps. We're planning 108 steps for the first time. I've announced it, so hopefully we make it happen now. There will be Jhulan. There will be so many festivities. It's the biggest festival of the year. So please make sure you mark your calendars. 16th August, Saturday. There are lots of sponsorship opportunities. So this is a big festival. It takes a lot of effort and Lakshmi to organize this festival. So if you are interested in sponsoring the festival, we have put the sponsorship poster out in the notice board. If you're keen on sponsoring any items for the festival, please reach out to Rasamalla, Gauraprem or myself, and then we'll get you connected. Thank you so much. And also if anyone would like to volunteer for the festival, offer their time. Time is very precious. So please reach out to us. We'll try to engage you in the appropriate service as well. Now I'm going to pass the mic to Monica Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So this year with Janmashtami we are having the excited opportunity to celebrate Divine Appearance Day of Lord Krishna, and this Janmashtami offer your love and devotion through our thoroughly curated bliss packs. So there are two options. The first one is gold bliss pack, which includes a divine offering set and also Mahaprasad from that day. Then the second one is
It's unbreakable.
yeah. So this is a gold option, and then we have a silver option in which there will be a two of Kamdenu jar set along with Mahaprasad. So there are very limited options, and please book yours today, and don't miss this golden opportunity. Thank you. Please see me or Brajkasura Mataji and Akanksha after Gaura Aarti. Thank you.
One more announcement.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, long, just a few minutes. So some of you might be aware we have a youth program here with all the youths every Saturday from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Also on the side we have kids classes as well from 6:30 to 7:30. So if you have smaller kids, you can enroll with Mataji's there. I think Shanti Rupa Mataji or Yamuna Sundari Mataji, yes. But I'm just going to announce quickly, the youths have put in a lot of effort as well. They come here every Saturday for the program from 4 to 5. So if your kids are in high school age and you want them to learn something spiritual and also some practical aspects of life, please, you can register as well with Sneha Bhakti Mataji here. So every time we acknowledge a student who has been outstanding, not only in the services, but also in organizing the services, being part of the services. And this term, we have a student who was very active. He organized a lot of activities, lots of services, Kirtan Melas. He comes for morning programs, hardly misses the classes. He sometimes even attends Mangalarti as well. So, would like to request Sakira Prabhu, just please come and give a small gift to Gohanesh. He has been a good boy this time.
Only this time?
Only this time, that's why he's getting the first.
No.
No. Oh, okay.
He always says
Thank you, Sakira Prabhu. Gunesh, would like to say something? If you have learned anything.
I've learned that we need to do more kirtan. And then on Sunday, if more of these can come for kirtan, that'd be nice. Instead of doing other stuff. Yeah. Haribol!
If you want to learn Mridanga, you can see him as well. So thank you again everyone for coming for this very, very special Saturday evening feast. And thanks to all the sponsors. Aarti. Yeah. So we please rise for Gora Aarti. Hare Krishna.
Vous gagnez? D'accord? आप गाओगे? मेरे को आप उसको गाना आप गाओ आप गाओ
चलो सब बंद कर दिया
आप गाओ अच्छा मुझे पता गाना